I have Sheila Stone, who is going to speak with us today. Welcome, Sheila.
Thank you.
Thanks for hanging out with us for a little bit. And I understand you're a solo mom. How did you become a solo mom?
Well, I was married for 16 years. My ex-husband was verbally abusive to me and my sons. So, it wasn't getting better, it was getting worse. So that was when I decided that being alone was a lot better than being with.
Mm-hmm. Understand.
Yeah, a lot of us have been there.
Yeah, yes. And you have two sons, right?
I do. They are grown up now. My oldest, Christian, is a NASA scientist, and he works at Jet Propulsion Lab with the Mars rover people. And my youngest is an art director, and Chris the oldest is 39, the youngest is 37. So there is life on the other end.
There is, right? So what has been your biggest struggle? I mean, how young were your children when you separated, or?
They were 11 and 13,
Okay.
which is not, it's a really tough time, even when you're not going through that. And we had a real rocky year, all of us. But once we got past that first year, things really changed, and they were much happier.
Right. And what would you say was the biggest thing? And I ask these questions because there are people going through it right now, right? And feel like, this will never end. So what was your biggest challenge, if you can remember? And how did you resolve that? Or how long did it take to resolve?
Well, I think my biggest difficulty was the boys both had trouble in school. My oldest was in junior high, and I remember at one point going, if he can just get out of high school, I will be happy. And he actually, once things got better and they kind of got used to the idea, he actually turned everything around, ended up going to school straight through until he was 29 and got a PhD from Rice.
Wow.
So yeah, I was the parent sobbing when he got his degree. But that was, I think, the hardest, was seeing the boys. It wasn't a good relationship, it wasn't a good situation, but still, it's hard when things change like that.
Right.
And that was really difficult, and sometimes I felt like I was just putting one foot in front of the other. And even though I was playing with them and we were having fun in the way that we hadn't been able to have when their dad was around, for about the first year or two, I remember thinking, I'm smiling and I'm laughing and I'm going, my smile isn't going any deeper than my teeth, because I'm doing what I know I'm going to be happy. I know these are going to be happy memories, but I'm not feeling it.
Yeah. But they struggled, and then they pushed through it, and they found their footing. So yeah.
Yes, and that's what happens. I mean, this too shall pass. But yeah, that doesn't take anything away from the fact that when you're going through it, it feels like it's going to go on forever.
Right.
And of course, you're always concerned, have I done the right things for my children? Am I being selfish? Have I, how will this affect them?
Yes.
But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. And so they went on to find their own way, and you had to find your own way. How did you do that?
Yes. Well, that was because 2001 was my year of hell. Not only did I have to move out of the home because we had agreed that I could stay in our home until our youngest son graduated from high school.
Mm-hmm.
So he graduated in 2001. So I had to find a place to live. And on top of it, my ex-husband found the love of his life, which I didn't think would bother me. And it was really hard because he was treating her the way I'd always wanted him to treat me. And, you know, all through the thing, I kept saying, well, you know, I mean, it's not me, it's him, you know, and then I had to go, well, maybe it is me. And that was difficult.
Yeah.
And I lost my job. I mean, it was just like one thing after another. That year, even my sons refer to it as our year of hell.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I moved out. I went through bankruptcy because of losing my job. And then I decided to go back to school. Now, I never had any burning desire to get a degree. I know a lot of women do, good for them. That wasn't really me. I basically went back to school because I felt like that gave me something to hang on to. I felt like I didn't have a future.
Right.
My oldest son had left to go to university. My youngest we actually started community college at the same time. And I knew that he was going to be leaving. And it was like, okay, I'm coming out of survival mode, but now what?
Yeah.
You know, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
And at first, I just took a couple of classes just to have something to keep my mind occupied. Oh, what?
Oh, sorry.
We're okay?
I do it every time. Go ahead. Sorry.
I took a couple classes just to keep my mind occupied.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got really into it. And I was like, okay, this gives me something to say, yes, I do have a future,
Mm-hmm.
even though I didn't feel like I did. I mean, I knew in my head I did, but I didn't feel it.
Yeah.
And so I went a little obsessive. At my last quarter, I worked at Caltech. I was an admin at the California Institute of Technology.
Mm-hmm.
And it was 2 blocks away from Pasadena City College. And my last quarter, I took 9 classes in addition to working full time. It
Wow.
was a little nuts. It was, I mean, most of them were online, but still, you
Yeah.
know, and it just seemed, I knew my youngest son was going to be transferring to university. And the idea of being in the same job, living in the same place, and being left behind. Not that I wanted to be with them, but I wanted to have my own adventures.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew if I didn't, it would be very, very difficult. So, so I went a little crazy and
Well,
transferred.
yeah, I think that's good. You know, I was talking to a lady yesterday, and she was talking about one of her thing is getting women over 50. You know, their kids are out of the house because they get stuck, and then they don't know what to do. They're just spinning their wheels. It happened to me, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
and so it was good that you were able to, maybe riding off the energy your sons had and just decided to learn something. And, you found your mojo, right?
I did. I found the first cultural anthropology class I took because it fit my schedule and it fulfilled the requirement.
Mm-hmm.
And literally in that first meeting, I went, "Oh my gosh, this is it. This is what I love." And I mean, I still get a little bit teary-eyed over it because that was really incredible to me.
Yeah.
Because when I started, it wasn't like, well, I want a degree in this. It was like, I need something to do. And I have absolutely loved it ever since.
Amazing.
And we ended up at the same university, all three of us at the same time. It was a little crazy. We didn't live together. It's a big campus, and they were old enough that they found it more amusing than mortifying.
Good. I was gonna ask you about that. Did they try to avoid you? Did they say you come in and go like this?
No, because we just didn't see each other. They were living, Chris, by the time I got there, Chris, the oldest, he had his own apartment. The youngest was living in a transfer dorm, and I had my own apartment. So we almost never saw each other.
Yeah.
And I had a good time.
Yeah, I imagine. Sounds like fun.
It was. I really loved it. But yeah, my motive initially was just trying to give me something to hang on to. But I was 48 when I went back, and oh, sorry, we've got a cat here. And I found that although I had quite a few units, nothing transferred. Not a single unit. So I literally started from scratch.
Yeah.
And that was, the thing that I most had to make a decision about was, do I want to take that much math? I had to take 3 math classes in order to get to the math class I needed in order to transfer.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
And, my youngest son said, well, Mom, why are you taking that class? And I said, because they don't offer anything lower. Because that's about the last math class I'd taken. I was in 10th grade, which was a little while before, a little bit.
Okay, so then you graduated, and what happened? What did you do after that? Because
I graduated, and first off, I'd never been overseas until I was 50. And the year before I transferred, that summer, I went to Europe, and I volunteered on an archaeological dig, and that was pretty fun.
Wow.
Because I was thinking about archaeology is one of the parts of anthropology, and I was thinking about doing that. But on the dig, I realized I can't drink enough to be an archaeologist. So I moved on to cultural anthropology. And when I was a junior, I applied to the anthropology department's, this is at UCLA, the anthropology department's departmental honors program, and I got to go spend 6 weeks in the summer in Japan, interviewing midlife women about their lives, which was amazing.
Yeah.
But when I graduated, I remember when I went back and I started my senior year, I had senioritis. I was 51 years old with senioritis going, so I started doing stand-up the summer after I graduated.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a little crazy. And I moved to Europe and lived there for a year. And I did stand-up over there. And then I came back for a couple of years, and then I decided to do grad school. So I did graduate school in England, and that was fun. Then when I came back from that was in 2010. So that was during the economic downturn. And I could not get arrested, I swear. 2 degrees, all this wonderful life experience, got turned down by Starbucks, got turned down by Trader Joe's, could not get a job, period. So that was when I started my business.
Okay. And I want you to tell us about the business in a minute, because it's very interesting, and I really, I want you to get into it a little bit. But so you raised 2 sons, you went back to college, and you seemed like you had fun with it. And I'm sure it wasn't all fun and games, but I'm looking at you, and you were enjoying yourself. You found your groove.
Yes. And when you go to particularly if you go to university. At community college, there are a lot of age groups. At university, that winnows out quite a bit. Not that I was the only person my age. There were quite a few, and some of them are still my friends. But you have to kind of decide, you can't pretend to be 21. Number one, no one's going to believe you.
Right.
And number two, it'll kill you. You just can't. So you have to go, okay, I want to make friends. It's harder to make friends because you're like parent age to the regular students. So it took a while. I have a wonderful story, a friend that is still my friend, dear friend, who is younger than my youngest son. And we were in a class together, and we were talking about, she was in transfer housing as well, like my son was. And we were talking about a project, and she said, well, I'm going to be interviewing people in my house. Well, if you say house, that was transfer housing. If it was undergrad, it was dorm. So I went, oh, I have a son who lives in transfer housing. And she went, who's your son? And I said, Jonathan Stone. And she grabbed the girl next to her and went, that's John's mom. My favorite moment of school. It was just like, yes, right. I'm John's mom.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And you have to make yourself available. You have to be friendly. You have to realize not everyone's going to want to hang out with you. But then if you find the people that do, they think you're pretty amazing because you're going back to school. You're doing something.
Yeah.
And also, getting involved with independent study so that you can pursue your own interests is a really good thing to do. And that's available at a lot of schools, not for the whole degree, but just for an individual class or something like that. So, yeah, I had a good time. I even went to a 21st birthday party. Whoa.
Sounds like fun.
Whoa.
Good for you. Good for you. Thank you. Okay, so you studied you went into cultural anthropology. Can you tell us what that is and how does it translate into the business you're doing now?
Cultural anthropology is basically the study of cultures, the study of people. For me, I found the most interesting thing was the study of subcultures, because there's subcultures all around us. If you go to jury duty, there are certain unspoken rules that you follow. I mean, there are a lot of spoken rules too. Sorry, I've got to put this cat down. There. But there are rules that you follow. And I just find that fascinating. We all are parts of these, in addition to the overall culture, we're all parts of these little, like if you're into needlework or you're into boating or those all are subcultures, or you're a country western fan. How it relates to my own business is, my company is Women Sharing Cultures, and I take small groups, and by small, I mean like 6 or 8, on tours. And we meet with local women. So it's not, you're getting a very personalized, a very cultural experience. And by cultural, I don't mean we spend all our time at museums.
Right.
I mean, we hang out with women. And women love meeting other women. We do. We really connect. And that's kind of where my cultural anthropology goes in, is meeting, connecting. I love connecting women to women.
Yeah, I love that. And I want to go on your next trip.
Yes, please.
Yes, yes. I want to go on your next trip. So, oh wow, that is good. So you actually inspire women to do that. So how do you inspire me, who don't know anything about what you do, or I'm one of those people who love to just go hang out at a nice hotel instead of eating with the locals. Um, talk about that.
Well, part of what I try to do when I talk to women who might be interested in taking the tours is I try to let them know realistically what they can expect, so that they will self-select if they don't like, because not everybody likes to travel the way I do, and that's fine.
Right.
I can't take hundreds of people anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really important to honor the way that you personally like to travel. For instance, if you're going to have enormous bags, 6 bags and all of this, I'm probably not a good fit, because you have to carry your own bags. We do stay in nice hotels, but they are not fancy. I try to stay in hotels that are family owned, or
Mm-hmm.
at least smaller companies that are owned in the country,
Mm-hmm.
so that the money stays in the community as much as possible.
Gotcha.
Because I feel really strongly that that's one of the things we need to do, no matter if you're in London or if you're in Tokyo. The bottom line is, um, they may be uh, wealthy countries, but we're talking about individual people.
Right.
The people who own the small hotels, just because they're in a wealthy country, doesn't mean they've got lots of money.
Mm-hmm.
And they can, and I stay in some lovely places with lovely people that I just enjoy so much.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're looking for a luxury experience, I'm probably not it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But if you're looking for an authentic experience,
Mm-hmm.
a kind of a personalized experience,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm a good fit.
Okay.
And if you really want to meet people, then I'm your gal.
Yeah. You're my gal.
I'm your gal.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you one more question, but before I do that, tell us how we could get in touch with you. Where do we go to
Okay.
find you?
Okay. Well, I am on my website is Women Sharing Cultures, plural, women plural cultures plural.com.
Okay.
And right now, of course, no tours.
Right.
I had a tour this spring in New Orleans and the Bayou Country at the beginning of March, right before everything went haywire. So everything else got canceled. I'm hoping that things will be safe for next year.
Yeah.
I feel really strongly that unless things are safe, I'm not taking people.
Okay.
So I can be reached there. I can also be reached at toursbysheila.com,
Okay.
which is my email address. And I am working on, because I can't travel, it's like, okay, what do I do now?
Mm-hmm.
So I have a couple of books that I've written in the past that
Okay.
I am re-editing and revising. One of them is Getting Your Degree Without Losing Your Mind, which I've done seminars on that. And if anyone is interested in a Zoom seminar or anything, I'm more than happy to do it, because that's something I feel really passionate about, is
Okay.
going back to school and strategies you can use.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one is called Boomer Bloomer, a guide for women still on the wrong side of the glass ceiling, because not everybody kicked through.
Right. Right.
And then I have a couple of travel books.
Okay.
So one is How to London. The other one I'm working on right now, I'm writing, is How to Japan.
Oh,
because those are two of the places I spend a lot of time.
right.
So I'm writing. That's what's keeping me from literally going
Crazy.
crazy.
Yeah, I'm with you. Well, I shouldn't say that, but yeah, I understand.
Yeah, well, we're all trying to figure out strategies,
Yeah,
like how do we cope with the way the world is right now?
yeah.
And ignoring it's not the answer.
Mm-mm.
And particularly for someone who travels a lot, I literally canceled my trip to Europe 2 days before I was supposed to leave. And
Wow.
I was supposed to be there for 2.5 months. And I canceled my flight to Dublin. I was going to do research in Dublin.
Yeah, yeah.
Canceled it 2 days before I was supposed to leave.
Aw.
That really sucked.
Yeah, yeah,
But when my friend who was there told me that the pubs were closed, I went, okay, it's really serious.
yeah.
The Irish aren't going to close the pubs unless it's dead
Nothing.
serious.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So,
yeah.
hopefully next year.
Yeah,
Um,
hopefully.
hopefully.
That would be nice because I would love to go on one of your tours.
I would love to have you along
Yeah,
and anyone else.
yes,
Uh, yes.
yeah.
So I only do a few tours a year, and they're only to places that I really know
Mm-hmm.
because this isn't a big company. This is me.
Right, right. Understood. Okay. So, my final question is one I ask guests most of the time is what one piece of advice do you have to give to a solo mom? Given all you've been through and all you've accomplished, um, just anything.
This too shall pass. Absolutely hang on to those precious moments with your
Mhm.
kids. I'm sorry, I get really,
Okay.
I'm a mess. Uh,
Yeah.
but create that shared history while they're young and
Mhm.
they want to be with you. And it will keep things, it'll help you through the bumpy teenage years, which are sometimes bumpy, not always. Um, and also when they become adults.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
sharing with me. I'm so happy that I got to talk to you. Um,
I'm happy too.
so talk soon, right?
Absolutely. Let's stay in touch.
Yeah,
And if anyone has any questions, please have them, send me an email.
sure. We'll do.
Okay.
All right.
Excellent.